Welcome to this video on Synapse Link for Dataverse. I would like to show you how you can use Synapse Link for Dataverse to load and analyze data in Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. So Synapse Link for Dataverse is the newest technology to analyze data using PowerBI or whatever tool you want. And it can be used to access the tables in Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management directly. What you have to do first is to create a new instance of a Synapse workspace. So when you're in Azure portal, you go to Synapse, and I have already a workspace here. So what you would do is you create a new workspace for your environment. And it asks you for subscription, resource groups, and so on. While creating this workspace, make sure that you have also created an Apache Spark pool, which is needed to convert the finance data into the deltalake format. I'm skipping this because I have already a workspace here. So in the next step, you would go to your Power Platform, make sure you're in the right environment, and on the left side, you can see Azure Synapse Link. If you don't have this already pinned, you go to More, Discover All, and from the Group Data Management, you can pin the Synapse Link to the side. So this is the option you want. And when you go here and you don't have anything configured, you create a new link. And here you have to provide the subscription, resource group, storage account, and so on that you have used to create your subscription. So this would look like this: subscription, resource group, storage account, and you want to access the workspace and not only the storage account. The configuration may take a few minutes, and when you have a link, you can open the link here, and then you see the tables that you have synced and some information. For example, these are the tables I'm syncing from the Finance and Supply Chain Management. The status, if it is active, if it has an error, how many records have been synced, and the last synchronization. And from the source, you see here it says F&O tables, because these are tables from Finance and Supply Chain, but you could also use tables from the Dataverse. This can be done by clicking on Manage Tables up here. And here you can choose if you want to use Dataverse or access Finance and Supply Chain. So the first here would be Dataverse. You see these are Dataverse tables, account leads and so on. And here we have the finance tables. So we are accessing the tables, not the entities. Like that, for example, the invent table. I have already added this to my synchronization, so you are really accessing the table itself. Now what happens is the data is copied into a storage account. You have to enable the track change in SQL in Finance, and whenever an update, a delete, or an insert happens, another record is created in the storage account. And that's what you need the Apache Spark pool, because you have a lot of CSV files, which is not very useful. And the Spark pool is taking these CSV files and converting them in a Parquet file format and provide it as a delta lake, so it looks like a table that can be used for analyzed. Now when you're here in your Synapse Link, you can directly go to your Synapse workspace. If you have Microsoft Fabric, you can also configure a Fabric connection, but I'm not going to talk about this now. So let's go to the workspace. So this is my workspace, and from the data view here, you see I have a lake database. This is generated automatically, and this is a lake database that contains the data in delta lake format. And you can see here we have the tables, for example, cast table, and it also contains the columns you would expect. Now the nice thing about this is when you go to develop, you can create different types of queries. For example, you can create a SQL query. So we can go here, change the database to the Dataverse, and then create a query like select everything from cost table. And when we execute the query, it can take a few seconds the very first time when you execute it, but it will become faster when you do this a second time. So you see this is the information in a SQL format like we would expect it when we access the table. So another nice thing is that in the Synapse Workspace you have a serverless SQL pool. This means you can create your own databases, and this also means you can create views. If you know the data model from Dynamics, you know we have a lot of tables that need to be joined in order that the customer, for example, has an address and a name and a primary address and so, and we can do this. So I'm closing this here, go back to develop, and I'm creating a simple view. I have already a database, a SQL database called Dynamics. You can create a database directly from here. You can say create database test 1, 2, 3 or whatever you want. But like I said, I have already one. But I can do the following. I can say create view, test view as, and select all from cost table. Now, because this view will be created in the Dynamics database, I have to fully qualify the path to this table. This means the database and the schema. The database is this here, and the schema in my example would be DBO. So we have a view in a database called Dynamics, and it is selecting everything from the cost table in the Dataverse table, if you want so. Now let's create this view. It says successfully, and we can check if this is true. So select all from this views. It returns that I have 4 views. I have already created 3 views for products, invoices and customers, and this here, the test view, is a view that I have created right here. Now here comes the simple part. When we are creating Power BI reports, we can access the tables in the view directly. You go to Manage, to the SQL pool, to the built-in SQL pool, copy the SQL endpoint. So it acts like a SQL server that you have in Azure or on-premise. And from Power BI, you go here to Get Data. And in Synapse, we have already this SQL connection. And I'm providing the connection string here. The database is Dynamics. And click on Import. Now it is querying the database in Synapse, and you see we have the test view and my views here. So I can say I want to have the data from the test view. Click on load, and now it is loading the data from this view that I have defined in my Synapse Workspace based on the data that is exported from Finance and converted in the deltalake format. So here, this is the data that comes from the view that I have created in the Synapse Workspace and contains all records from the cost table. Like I said, it might be a good idea that you create your own views and provide some additional information like some joint data regarding the customer or the product or whatever. I can show you this small example here. So for my Dynamics database, I can select everything from the, let's say, customer view, and this will contain information from the cast table, from the dear party table, from the address and so on. So if you are a developer, it might be a good idea to create some views and provide these views to your Power BI analysts. For example, you see this view based on the tables from Dynamics Finance. It has, of course, a number, a name, a VAT number, permanent names, cast group names, city, addresses, data area ID, telephone number, and email, and so on. And the Power BI guys can just use this view here, like we have done it in the test view 1, 2, 3. You can also access the tables directly. So when we go back to Power BI and get data and use Synapse here again, and I'm providing the server name here, leave the database blank. It will list all databases available in my workspace, and you see here is the Dataverse in data with deltalake format. And of course you could go here and say I want to have the invent table itself, load the invent table, and you don't have to create views to access the data. Like said, it might be more convenient for your Power BI guys to have this data already prepared depending on your use case. So it is loaded the data. Let's have a look. And this would be the raw data from the invent table. You see item ID and so on. And you can of course work with the tables if you want. Instead of the views, or combine both, create some typical views and load the data from the table if you like. If you enjoyed the video, it would be nice to leave a like or a comment. Thanks for watching.